Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. State grants have played a critical role in Monterey County's ability to reduce the amount of people who are homeless in our community. The County of Monterey, along with the County of San Benito and the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers, are preparing to apply for another round of state grants and state funding. But before we apply, we are asking the community about how to spend these dollars. We're going to talk about the application process and the importance of these grants. We have with us Lauren Suwansupa with our Department of Social Services. She's the Community Affiliations Manager. We're also pleased to have Kierston Young with the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers. She's the grant manager there. Ladies, welcome to the briefing.
Hello, Mia. Thank you so much for having us. I just have a brief presentation to help guide our conversation, and are so excited to share about a community input process. So if you can see, we are working on the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program. We don't have our local allocations available yet, but we're looking at probably about $2.5 million coming to our community to help address homeless housing assistance prevention type services. In our community, we have a couple of entities that are all eligible for their own allocation. So, I'm talking about maybe 2.5 million for through the county's application, but San Benito is eligible for their own, as is the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers, which Kierston is here representing. So each of our applications all require that we provide a bit of community input to help us guide that conversation. So to that end, we're hosting some in-person, some live sessions. We would love to invite the community to come and participate. One of them will be in the city of Monterey at the Monterey Conference Center on November 8th. And the other we will have in Soledad at their community center on November 29th. If you're not able to come to those sessions, you can still provide community input. We are gathering this data through a survey. You can see the link is there. The survey is available both English and Spanish. It's a fairly simple survey, and at these community input sessions, we're basically going through that process and doing the survey together, providing as much guidance and information about, what are some of these acronyms, what are some of these services, and helping just kind of understand what that is. So we actually go through, talk about the eligible activities that this homeless housing funding is eligible to provide for. What is rapid rehousing? What is interim housing? And really helping explain what those things are, the pros and cons of them, and then allowing the community to really weigh in on what they believe is effective and what will work in our community. And the survey is tailored for you to speak on behalf of Monterey County or San Benito County. So there's an opportunity to really weigh in on how we prioritize what projects we have, and also include any other comments. So if there's another idea that we didn't bring up or something that we don't see in our community, there's open space for people to be able to put in an additional comment. And we are reading all of these. All of this will get put in and analyzed as part of our application for the HAP grant. We're really trying to make sure people know this survey is for you. Everybody can take this survey. So we're reaching out to people who have lived experience of homelessness, youth who have lived experience. We're also really trying to target populations that are known to be overrepresented in homelessness. So African American, Black, youth ages 18 to 24, persons over the age of 65, LGBTQIA+, single males, and persons fleeing domestic violence. But we also really want to hear from people who work in the field of homeless services and housing, people who do street medicine and outreach, leaders and staff from local jurisdictions, public agencies. There's lots of perspectives, and we want all of that input, including advocates or just concerned citizens. So if you're thinking, I'm just going to share this on and I'm not going to take the survey, you can. Everybody can take this survey. We're really looking for multiple perspectives. We're also hosting some mini input sessions. So if you're from an organization and you would like one of us to come and just do a mini session and actually walk through that survey with you and offer the opportunity to kind of give some of that additional detail, there is a quick form that you can fill out, and we'll reach out and work with you to attempt to set that up so that you can have a mini session with your staff or clients. And so just again, just trying to really emphasize that we're having these input sessions in the city of Monterey and Soledad, and we really hope that people will join and give us their input, because we're really trying to gather as much of the community's input as possible.
I know we want to turn, I'd love to hear from Kierston as far as their involvement and what we're hoping for, but could you also talk about the importance of why that input really makes the grant more successful? How does it all work together? Because, we hear a lot about surveys, but how does a survey impact what you're applying for?
This actually allows our community to have their voices heard. They can share their thoughts, their opinions, suggestions on how funding is spent. They can make their suggestions and their thoughts on how to allocate the funds more effectively. And we just want to hear from our community. The more exposure, the better, because with AB 129, they are now requiring agencies that are applying, or applicants that are applying, to have voices from the community included. We have to document how we advertise this information, how we gathered the information. So we need the data in order to even receive these funds, to receive the award. So we're encouraging our community to come out, make your voices heard, give us your suggestions. So this is the time. We're trying to allow as much exposure as possible. And I encourage anyone who's on the call to please post these flyers with the QR code in any high traffic areas, share them with your friends, your full community. And to piggyback on what Lauren was saying, that anyone can participate, stakeholders, staff, people with lived experiences, all age groups, all demographics, walks of life. So we really need to hear from the community so that way we can better serve them and see how the funds, and feel how they, take in what they feel the funds should be spent. So that's pretty much what we're after. We're looking for the data. We need the data in order to receive the funding.
We're also kind of, and maybe I'm characterizing this wrong, and please correct me. We're kind of coming at this with a little bit of a success, in our backpack, where we've gotten state funding before. We've done really good work with our state funding. Does that help us get more money?
We do need to document the proof of how previous funding has been spent, but it's not guaranteed. This is not a renewal of some sort. So we have to treat it as brand new. Of course, documenting our previous experiences and how the funding was spent does help. But with AB 129, there are new stipulations that we have to abide by, and the community input session is at the forefront.
And in terms of the mini sessions, Lauren, I'm wondering if you could describe a little bit more, because there are probably a lot of organizations out there that work in this field or related to, services. How, what can that do for them?
Yeah, I think, we really wanted to provide a little bit more outreach in trying to assist the community in completing the survey. And it really doesn't take too long. The mini input session really is an opportunity for us to just kind of come in and help decipher some of the homeless service lingo, and have an opportunity to kind of go through some of the pros and cons, explain a little bit of what some of these eligible services mean, because it's very easy to get confused over what type of service. People interpret the word outreach, people interpret the word, temporary very differently, and how it's utilized in this grant versus how it's used in general conversation. So a mini input session is really just an opportunity for you to, gather some of your staff, or gather, if you're a service provider, some of your guests, and allow us an opportunity to get their input and feedback. It's so critical for us to make sure that we're implementing services that are tailored and appropriate for our community, because every community is going to have its different complexities. And by really doing this outreach, we're attempting to make sure that we're utilizing the funds in the way that's right for Monterey County, and that, you know, the part for San Benito, that they're seeking out the input from San Benito County. We really are trying to tailor those services to our community.
Now, there's always a deadline for these things. What's our timeline for the survey?
We're hoping that we will have all of our data and ready to close by the new year. However, it really depends on our the amount of input that we get. We really want to make sure that we're hitting something statistically significant. So that's why we're pushing it really hard, why we're offering up the many input sessions, to really try and get those numbers up. But that would be our attempt. The final application is due at the end of March. But as Kierston was talking about the many requirements of AB 129, we have a lot of work to do to make ourselves compliant and eligible to submit that application by March. It feels like many months, but there is so much work that we need to do, including, you know, hosting these live input sessions throughout the community, and hopefully we can gather that data within the right time so that we have everything, all of our boxes checked and ready to receive this money to our community.
Have we gotten any hits on the survey yet? I know the information just kind of went out last week. Is there interest so far?
Well, you know, it was amazing that we were able to hold our first community input session at the Lead Me Home Homeless Summit that many of you may have heard about, that happened just a couple of weeks ago at the Steinbeck Center at the CSUMB Monterey City Center. And so that was a well-attended event, which kind of kicked us off to a good start. We have received over 140 responses so far, but our goal is really to hit several hundred. So we're hoping to continue to push this and really help get this out to the community so that we have a very wide range of voices.
Anything last words from you, Kierston, you'd like to share before I let you guys go?
Just thank you for allowing this platform so that way we can share the need and the reasoning for the input session. And again, I can't stress it enough to please share the QR code, participate in the survey. Everyone that's attending the call is more than welcome to and encouraged. We definitely would love your input. And thank you. Thank you for having us and giving us this platform to share.
Thank you. And we'll be sending out the graphics with the QR code for everyone who's involved so they can send it off from there. And ladies, thanks very much for walking us through this. It's very exciting. I know there's a lot of work ahead, but it's exciting to think we could get more state funding in for this good work.
Thank you.
On to our next topic now. The county library system has 17 branches and mobile vans, so it has a vast amount of materials to manage. How does the library manage its massive collection? What are policies for what's available? And how can residents connect up with the library about items that they'd like to see at the library or something that they have a question about? We have Hillary Thayer, our library director, is here to talk more about the library's collections. Hi, Hillary.
Hi, Maya, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes at your briefing today. This is a question we get a lot from people who come in. How do you get the books that are on your shelf? What if I see something I have a question about, or what if I want to recommend something you don't have? Rather than a presentation, I just dropped a few links in the chat for people that are directly to what I'm going to be talking about from our website. And to cover a few basics, just so you can get a sense of size and scope, we have, through your county library system, we have currently over 300,000 print items, over 25,000 physical audio and video items. So that's your books on CD, your playaways, and your DVDs, and access to over 150,000 ebooks and downloadable audiobooks. So that's even just books and audio. We have not even touched magazine articles, databases, online training, videos online, all that other great stuff. Your library starts each fiscal year with a budget of only $300,000. And I can tell you that's not a lot. But we get this supplemented throughout the year with grants, very generous donations from our Foundation for Monterey County Free Libraries, our friends of the library, and great support from the California State Library. So we do get quite a few donations and grants, and looking at our web pages, hopefully you're going to see our call outs there of our wonderful supporters. So all of this is available to you for free with your Monterey County Free Libraries card. And now we come to how do we decide? How do we decide what to buy? Which ebook and which video and which picture book? We have a collection development team of librarians. This is a good chunk of their job. They read reviews, they look at lists, they talk to the staff. They also all work in your branch libraries. So these are frontline folks who are checking out books, answering reference questions, talking to library users, and seeing what goes out the door every day and what gets used till it's worn into tatters, what has a really long holds list that we need more copies. So they're working all the time on this all throughout the year. They're guided by a policy, and I put a link in the chat. It's one of our many library policies that we developed to guide our work. And if we don't have something on the shelf for you, or it's checked out, okay, it might be brand new, it might be older, it might be something that we chose not to buy. You have a few options. What a free option, free, is an interlibrary loan. We can go to another library and borrow that item for you. We borrow it on your behalf. You don't have to drive to other libraries, even though you may be able to borrow them from there directly. We can also get some really interesting things that way. We can get microfilm. We can get books in Braille. We can get books in languages we don't carry. We can get a dissertation from a university or a textbook from a college or university library. That's called interlibrary loan. We also can have items mailed to you via our library by mail service. That is also free. So I just want to say that if it's not on the shelf in your branch library, it doesn't mean we can't help you. I guarantee you we will try to get everything that you need for you. But say you do want to suggest it should be on your shelf. You should have this fabulous book, and you can file a suggestion for purchase online. There is a web form for that, and I put the link in the chat. I also get suggestions for purchase via email all the time. And I'm happy to take those emails. I just forward them on to our collection development team and say, here's a suggestion for purchase. And people write about all sorts of things, a great novel they've read, an interesting history book, something in their niche specialty that we don't have on the shelf that they go, hey, knitters would love this. People learning to bake bread would love this. This is a new thing in school. You know, my daughter's studying. You should have a book on it. So we take those all the time, and that goes to the collection development team, and they fold this into all their ongoing work. Now, for comments on the items we do have in the collection, we always would love you to start by talking to your fabulous library staff. Just go into any of your branches and have a chat with your librarian there, ask your questions. We can look up reviews for you, see if it's on lists, look at age recommendations. We love to answer questions. If you're uncertain if you should take that book home, maybe you're not thinking you're like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this movie. I want to know more about it. Or what is the reading level of this chapter book? Should I give it to my daughter, or is it going to be too difficult for her? We love to help you right up front. And there is also a materials comment form. If you wish to make a formal materials comment, this can be on any item in our collection for any reason. The form is on our website. Just answer all the questions, fill it out, give us some contact information so we can get back to you. That, again, goes to our collection development team. They take a look at the questions or concerns, and then ultimately they send a recommendation to me. I see all of those and make sure I'm well aware of any questions or concerns about our collection. We're always working on it for you. It's always evolving. So any questions at all from that out of the blue item to you should carry a new language to I think this picture book should be in this other area of the library, or why do you have only one? This should be in every library. We love, love, love to hear from people about our collection. It's right at the core of what we do, and we try to make communication with us as easy as possible. So I'm happy to answer any further questions I can for you today, Mia.
And if you've got questions for Hillary, you can raise your hand or you can put your question in chat. Hillary, I'm hoping you'll talk a little bit about the communication that you do have with residents, because sometimes people think they submit a form, they have a concern, and it goes off into the Netherlands and nothing ever happens. But things have actually happened where people have made a comment or a suggestion, and it happened for them.
Yes, if it's a materials comment form, one of the guarantees is that you will get an answer in writing. And what happens is our team reviews the item. And by reviews the item, I mean we read it. We watch that movie. We look at those pictures. We make sure we're fully actually experiencing the item. So we don't simply look at reviews, read the back of the book and go, okay, now I'm going to answer. We read the book or watch the movie. And then we will do things like look at reviews, age recommendations. Has this item won awards? How much has the item checked out? Is this a popular item or is this a shelf sitter? And we will get back to the requester in writing. And the comments, you can also chit chat with your librarian on the desk. If your librarian's not in the branch, you can say, I would like to speak to the librarian, please. And leave your contact information. Some people would prefer to have a conversation. People can also reach out to me directly. If they would prefer to have a conversation, but like to have it with the library director, please give me a call, shoot me an email, and we'll set up a time to talk. The materials comment form does help because it's basically questions we're going to ask you. Now, some things that may happen with materials is moving it from one area of the library to another. We have flexibility. We might look at things like the subject headings it comes up under. We may look at, is this material out of date? And it's simply been sitting on our shelf for a long time. Sometimes a patron will bring something to our attention that we go, yeah, that material's been there a while. We haven't really looked at that recently. Let's look at it again. Depending on the branch, we may look at the location of that section within the branch. So we do take everything seriously. We review everything thoroughly, and anybody can reach out to me directly. They do not have to go through a form and climb the ladder. If they wish to reach to me directly, that is absolutely fine.
So there's a lot of work that goes into this, and it's constantly evolving. How do you feel that you are tapped in to the way the community feels about what's available? Do you feel that you're on target with them, or do you feel you need to learn more about what their interests are?
I think it's all over the place. Often being tapped into what the community is needing, we see it when the requests come in, when lists for certain items get really long. Sometimes we have to go, wow, a lot of people are requesting this type of item, and we might go looking for media. Has this been on a TV show? Is there a new autobiography on this person out? Is there a bestseller in this area that has caused an upsurge in interest? We also work a lot with our schools because curriculum changes. And those are your students doing their homework. And they're going to come in, I need a book for this, I'm supposed to read this, I need to write a report on that. So often we end up calling the school after the students have come in and said, can you tell us about that assignment so we can buy some more items for it? In terms of formats, that's really where we're always kind of asking people, for example, audio. We have 3 audio formats. We have books on CD, we have playaways, and we have digital downloadable audiobooks. We can get multiple other audio formats. That's often chasing technology in cars. How many people's cars still have CD players? When I started, it was how many people's cars still had cassette players. And now we would not buy an audiobook on cassette. There just aren't enough. We're also always looking at prices. I hate to tell you, but those ebooks and those downloadable audiobooks are just getting more and more and more expensive. So my team often has to say, I want to buy all 10 of these things. I can afford 3 of them for the collection from budget. Which 3 is it going to be? And making those decisions all the time. So we're ahead a little bit, we're chasing a little bit, and we're always working and always evolving, as you said.
You gave some data early on about the collection, and I'm wondering if you could repeat it. You said you had 300,000 plus print materials, in excess of 150,000 ebooks, and there was a third number that you gave. What was that?
Over 25,000 physical audio and video. So that's your physical book on CD, DVDs, and playaways.
That people can walk in, grab, and say,
walk in. Yep. Don't need a computer. Don't need a smartphone. Grab it off the shelf and it's in your hands. For the playaways, you need a battery. That's it.
I know we've had a lot of questions. Any last questions for Hillary before we let her go? Thank you, Hillary. Thanks for running through this with us. It's always an adventure at the library.
It always is, and I'm happy to answer questions direct from the public at any time.
Thanks very much. And now on to our next topic. A few weeks ago, we shared some information about a Transformative Climate Communities Planning Grant. This is a grant that the county received to work with the Pajaro Valley community to create greenhouse reducing projects. Well, a key part of that grant, which is the creation of a community climate coalition, is ready to launch now. So we're going to find out, what is this community climate coalition? What does it do, and who can join? We have Eloy Ortiz, who is with Regeneracion Pajaro Valley, to tell us more about that. And I'm hoping we have Cora from our sustainability program. She might have had to drop off. So Eloy, we'll start with you and let you start us off.
Great. Thank you, Maya, for having us back. Yeah, Cora did let me know that she had to drop out. So I'll be talking today with the group. And so the first thing I wanted to do is, let's see, share the presentation for the folks, just give a little background on the project for the folks who weren't here last time. Let me start this slideshow. Sorry about that.
All right, it's loading.
Okay, there we go. So the County of Monterey received what is called a Transformative Climate Communities Planning Grant last year, 2022. It's funded by the State of California Strategic Growth Council. The County of Monterey was the lead applicant, and Regeneracion Pajaro Valley Climate Action is the local convener. Regeneracion is based out of Watsonville, and we are a climate justice focused organization. We do education, advocacy, outreach with the Watsonville Pajaro Valley community and Pajaro. Really focusing on educating, advocating for the most vulnerable residents of the area who have been most impacted by climate change over these past few years, whether it be the droughts, whether it be wildfires, whether it be the levee breach back in March. So just a couple slides on the project summary. So it's a 2-year planning grant funded by, again, the Strategic Growth Council. The bulk of the work will be to form a group called that we are calling the Community Climate Coalition. It's going to be made up of residents in the area, the area of focus of the planning grant, which I'll show a map in a few moments, and leaders from CBOs that understand a lot of the issues in the area. And the goal of the group will be to identify up to 5 greenhouse gas reduction projects that can be implemented in the Pajaro Valley that are identified by residents, identified by community leaders that will have the most impact. And that may inform a TCC implementation grant, which would mean, if successful, about $30 million coming into the area to implement those projects. just a few grant details. It's $300,000, July 2023 to June 2025. Cora, who was just on the line, is from the sustainability program, is the Monterey County contact, and I am the contact for the in the community. And our partners also include, UC Santa Cruz's Sustainability Office, Ecology Action, and Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. So this is a map of the area of focus. As you can see, we go south past Watsonville Junction. So it encompasses all of Pajaro, west out to the ocean, to the beach, and then north. In the north, it encompasses part of all of downtown Watsonville and part of the northern part of Watsonville. And the reason for this was because we recognize that the Pajaro and Watsonville, a lot of the residents use the same resources. So as we address the needs of Pajaro, we would also be addressing the needs of the area of Watsonville. And I do believe that this is the first multi-jurisdictional project that the Strategic Growth Council has funded. So that's also great to know for this area. So let's see. So again, the coalition will identify those greenhouse gas reduction projects. One thing I do want to highlight is they take a very holistic view of greenhouse gas reduction. It could be anything from urban greening. So, if we think about reducing time in cars as a greenhouse gas reduction project, urban greening to get people to be out on this, to walk and have more recreation spaces, renewable energy, workforce development, having more efficient energy and water appliances, community engagement is a big part of this project, which I'll talk about in this moment, and then displacement avoidance. As we're improving these areas, as we're bringing benefits to the areas, to make sure that the residents who are living there are actually able to stay in the area and benefit from the project. So our applications are now open. Our deadline is November 15th. We have two types of positions available, 4 to 5 resident leaders for people. We're really focused on people who aren't necessarily experts in climate change. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are really connected to the area, who know their community well, and who can talk to their neighbors about what's going on, who can go to church and make some presentations about climate change, after we build up their knowledge, people who are really comfortable of, connecting with others. Then we have this second bullet point should say 4 to 5 CBO leader positions available for nonprofits who have constituents in the area and who have that knowledge about in that holistic view of affordable housing or environmental justice or education or health and wellness. And we're keeping this, we're keeping in mind the community here, making the application process as open as possible. We'll have the program in Spanish. Our only requirements are that the applicants be 16 years or older, and be able to legally work in the United States. And we did reach out to PVUSD, and they were really happy. And I'm hoping we get at least some high school students or some college students to apply to the project. It's going to be a 15-month process. We're going to start in January 2024. It's a 10-hour commitment per month. We'll have 1 meeting per month. 2 to 3 hour meeting, and then those other 7 to 8 hours, we really like people to do outreach in the community, to really, as we learn about, what the counties are doing, the Santa Cruz and Monterey counties are doing around climate change, as we learn what the city of Watsonville is doing, maybe the city of Monterey and Salinas. As we learn about, what projects are coming down the line, what potential projects can be funded, that the members of this coalition be able to talk to their community. You know, it's not these 10 people making decisions, it's them talking to the community, to their communities, getting their input from the broader residents, and bringing those opinions back, bringing those, you know, really making that connection back to us in those monthly meetings, so we can decide to move forward, knowing about what the broader community's opinions are on you know, the topics at hand. Excuse me. So this is also an opportunity to learn about civic participation, civic engagement, community leadership, and ultimately we will form a final report of recommendations that can be used by the counties or the city to pursue those transformative climate communities implementation grants, which are that $30 million I mentioned earlier. Or, you know, there are a number of other climate change funded opportunities coming down from the state and federal government that do require that civic participation, that community engagement. So this is also an opportunity to inform other potential climate resilience opportunities. These are our flyers. The links are in that. I put the link to this presentation in the chat. And there's also links to the flyers themselves. One thing I will say is that we're doing engagement via text, emails. I presented on Sunday at the Lady of Assumption Church at Pajaro. They had a disaster prep event. Did a presentation at the county recovery group meeting on Monday. So we're really trying to get to people, really trying to connect to people, you know, be in front of them. But also, if we can share this online, that would be really great. Let me see. The compensation will be about $50 an hour for those 10 hours a month for the 15 months of the grant. And really, it's to cover their people's expenses, trying to be respectful of their time, really trying to compensate them for their knowledge of their own community. And again, here are the links. We do have an online application. We have a PDF version of the application. I will be here in our office late for a few days. Let's see, I think at least twice a week until the 15th. So really trying to bring people in to talk to us about this project if they're interested, just trying to be as available as possible. And I think that's it.
Thanks very much for walking us through this. You know, it's interesting that the work that you're asking them to do, many people would do it, you know, as a dedicated volunteer, but you're really kind of upping the ante for people because you really need them to get out and do the work, and that compensation is important for people.
It is. We're really trying to set a we're trying to respect people's time, and as we go out to the community, and we want to model what we believe other groups as they come in to talk to the community should do, which is respect people's time, compensate them at a respectful level, making sure, as we know, the cost of living here, especially for people who are of low income or farm workers, the cost of living and the rental prices here are just so high. So really trying to be respectful of people's time. And we also want to compensate people and build their capacity to go to those city council meetings, to the county supervisor meetings, to really express what the needs of the community are. What we heard, I was at a meeting on Sunday, again at the church, and people were really fired up. They really want to express themselves, express what the community is what the Pajaro community is going through at board of supervisor meetings. They just don't have the time or the resources to do that. So we want to be helpful in creating some of that, in building that capacity to really engage at that level.
I'm wondering if you could just be kind of freestyle thinking, if someone wanted to participate and they wanted to be one of those people that are involved, what might their month look like if they have that 10 hours that you want them to dedicate a month? What are some of the things that they might do?
Yeah. You know, we'd have one meeting. We're thinking right now it'd be 2 to 3 hours. It would either be, we're trying to be very flexible, again, respectful of people's time, acknowledging that that people would have to work. Some people would be working a 40-hour job, they'd have children. So it could be a hybrid meeting where they're either on Zoom or they come to our office for those 2 to 3 hours. And that would be either in the evening or on the weekend. It'll really depend on what the selected group prefers. And then the other time is, so we talk about a topic. So for example, we might talk about the Santa Cruz Climate Action Plan, and what maybe, or the Watsonville Climate Action Plan, or the Monterey County Climate Action Plan, and what projects that we know are funded that are coming down. And we maybe do and this is just an example, we maybe write a list of the projects that are coming down, and you know, we would then ask those 10 people to go out to their constituents or their community and you know, talk about what we know is coming, what is being funded, and have them ask their community members, ask their neighbors, ask their fellow churchgoers, like what is on this list or what is missing from this list, right? For you, what is missing on this? What is missing on this list that would make your life better here? What that would make Pajaro a better place for your children? And so really, it's that community engagement piece that we can't do, that we would really depend on people from the community or who are familiar with the community. You know, that's what we'll be leaning on them to do.
And it sounds like you're supporting them. So you're is it important for you at your end to track what they do as far as grant purposes? So people need to know it's maybe something they can't just come in and maybe do 1 month and not another. You kind of want them to make a commitment.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a 15-month commitment, recognizing that life gets in the way, but we'd really like that 15-month commitment, because yeah, I think this is about, it's not only about the you know, the funding, that the funding is very important, but it's also, we'd really like to be we'd really like for this to be an opportunity to develop people's leadership, their community engagement skills, you know, to be not only a leader in the community, but a climate leader, because ultimately, you know, climate change is very much impacting this area. As I said, droughts, wildfires, the rains, it's creating economic chaos for a lot of the most vulnerable residents of this area.
Any questions for Eloy before we let him go for today? And I see you've put the presentation in the chat. If there's any permissions that are needed, be sure to put that in for people who might need it.
I think that, yeah.
Great.
And I'll send you the flyers if to send out.
Please, thank you. And we'll share that with all the people who participated today. Thank Eloy very much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for updating us, and the upcoming, you know, great things are happening in the Pajaro Valley with this project. Thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week. We'll see you then.